Thank you for joining me today. I am going to be sharing with you this watercolor peony card using stamps from Little Darlings Rubber Stamps. I made this card as a thank you card for a gentleman who retrieved my phone after I lost it in the causeway in Hawaii on our way home from our trip. I'm very grateful that it came home, and I wanted to make sure that I showed my gratitude by making the card. These stamps from Little Darlings are quite large, and I used my VersaFine clear ink, Versamark clear ink, and I actually stamped them twice with the ink and then embossed them using clear embossing powder. I did this for all of my images. I basically stamped each of the sections of this flower twice and embossed them. It really wasn't a long process, and it was quite enjoyable. I do also own the matching dies for this set. During the watercolor process, I used a water brush and my Tombow dual brush markers. They are great with watercolor paper. This paper is from Canson. It is Canson XL watercolor paper, and I stamped on the smooth side of the paper, and then once after everything was heat embossed and dry, I then colored it. It was very loose and very wet watercoloring, so that I would have that true watercolor effect in each of my petals. Later on in the video, you'll see that I do flip these images over and just loosely use my markers to color in the back side of these leaves, so that when I do form the petals, there will be some color on the back side as well as on the front. This is a small little trick that offers a whole lot of punch. When I'm coloring these images, I'm using very loose strokes, literally hash marks and scribble marks, to color in these images. I'll then go back with the water brush and pull the color back out from the center to the edges of each of these petals. Later on in the video, you'll see that I do add a little bit more color once everything is dry, just to give each petal a little bit more definition. When you do color with an image like this, you actually do want to keep it loose and go outside of those lines. The reason being is when you go and die cut this image out, you will have even more definition, and the added benefit is if you color outside the lines and you don't exactly die cut perfectly, you'll never know. They'll just look as beautiful as ever. I am using a heat gun. Mine is one of the more heavy-duty ones that I purchased from my local Lowe's home improvement store. And you can also buy them here online. It is a Wagner, and I have had mine for at least 2 or 3 years now, and it is without a doubt the best heat gun I have ever owned. Now it's time to put together the card. I am using tones of pink and purple and one little tiny piece of pattern paper. I went back and forth and had to do a little bit of experimenting with this to decide exactly how I wanted this to go. I used this piece of pattern paper, which is actually from Doodlebug, to form the design of my card. I just cut it down so it was slightly smaller than the original layering piece. That purple layering piece is only a 1/16 of an inch smaller than the overall card dimension. I laid the circle on top of that and then cut it down to fit within the border of my card with a pair of scissors. Now I'm taking that frame and I'm placing that on top, and this is where the fun really begins. I take my time with each of these flowers and shape them with my fingers. But first, here is the part that I was telling you about, where I color the back of the images just so there's a little hint of color on the back. For when I deform the petals, you will be able to see that through the other side. This only takes a couple of minutes, but it does, like I said before, offer quite a punch. Since these are still slightly damp after the forming of these petals, I was able to manipulate the flowers upwards with my thumbs and forefingers to have a more realistic looking bloom. I'm just using my glue, this is Zig 2-way glue, to attach all these pieces together. Now I do want to remind you once again that these layers are still slightly damp. So after the recording of this video, I did let them sit to dry. I die cut some thank yous from my favorite things, and I stacked those one on top of the other and decided for a more whimsical look by putting them at an angle. Thanks for joining me today. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Share my videos. Have a great day. Bye for now.